Welcome to the fourth episode of Test of Times. And today is a very special episode for me because today I have someone with me who I consider as an elder brother, as a mentor. I welcome Venugopal Rajagopalan on the show. He was one of those people who told me that Yashasvi, you should do this because this is something which needs to be told. The stories need to be told to the generation of people who follow cricket, and it's with utmost pleasure that I have him on the show. And today we discuss about Indian cricket after the triumph of 1983 and how it made cricket great in this sport. And I welcome Venu in this show. He's joining us from Toronto, and I hope everything is good in Canada. He's doing well. How I hope everything is fine.
Thank you, Yashasvi. Such a pleasure to be here. And yes, I think your show will stand the test of time. So
Thank
yeah, this is great to be here, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, thank you. All well here in Toronto, Canada, enjoying the summer.
you. So, let's start the discussion. We're talking about
Hmm.
the triumph of 1983 and how it actually, made it good for the game and how it actually made the game a darling sport in India. So, my first question to you will be, what did the 1983 win actually mean for the Indian people, and how it enthusiased a generation of people? If you could put a little light on that, it would be really nice.
Yeah, so it was a significant year, definitely. Significant in many means because I was born in that year as well. So let's start from that.
Yes.
So so yeah. In that way, it's pretty apt to call it a significant year. I'm just self-boasting about myself. But yeah, on a serious note, it was definitely something which was a pivotal moment and a defining moment for sport in India in general. Because before that, it always used to be sport used to be viewed as a recreation. Sport used to be viewed as
Correct.
something which only a select few people could do,
Yes.
and those who are lucky enough to play, or those who probably have their own bank jobs and stuff, and
Correct.
play cricket as a side hobby.
Mhm.
So that was how it was perceived. So, but this win definitely put India on the world map, for
Yeah.
sure, in terms of competitiveness.
Hmm.
I think that is something which changed because before this, yes, we were competitive. Make no mistake, we were doing well.
Yes.
But it was predominantly Test cricket, and tours used to be very few in between here and
Hmm.
there, and whatever cricket we used to get, it was all predominantly Test cricket. And we used to have some individual brilliance in the form of Sunil Gavaskar. We had the spin quartet. We
Hmm.
had some other legends as well who played the game.
Hmm.
But as a team, as a cohesive unit,
Hmm.
combined together, playing for the country, and doing something extraordinary like this
Hmm.
was
Yes.
something which was a spectacle to watch, because we had a couple of World Cups before the '83 World Cup as well,
Correct. Yes.
and that's where the West Indies, the Mud Indies of that era,
Okay.
they kind of enforced their dominance on world cricket, right? And it was all about the West Indies, the mighty West Indies in that era,
Hmm.
and to do it against them in a final on a world stage like this was
Yes.
something spectacular. I think that is something which was, especially when we went for the tournament, the way we started off, and nobody could imagine that one is reaching the finals, second is
Yes.
beating West Indies in a final,
Yes.
and what was the third most important thing? The way we beat them as well, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
who would have thought
Hmm.
183, could be defended
Correct.
against a batting lineup like the West Indies, and
Hmm.
in a final. So I think that is something which was superb. I think it gave a lot of Indian fans and the team itself a sense of belief that it's just onwards and upwards from there. So I think that is what changed, because that was the World Cup was the only we didn't have any Test championships like we have right now,
Yes.
and the World Cup was the
Hmm.
only big stage of
Hmm.
cricket, like we have the Wimbledons, the French Opens of the world in tennis, or even the FIFA World Cup. We
Hmm.
did not have anything specific for cricket back then in that era. World Cup after the 75 or the 79 one,
Yes.
this kind of became a trend of sorts. and then people started taking cricket at a different level as a sport together. So I think that have changed. So having a title, a trophy in your name, that kind of completely took Indian cricket to another level from there.
So, just a follow-up question for this. Is it safe to say that after
Hmm.
1983 that cricket became a darling sport for Indians, even though, hockey was there, we have done brilliantly in hockey, 8 gold medals until then, but after that, the
Hmm.
decline started coming. So, do you think that cricket had overtaken and cricket was ready that I'm going to show my dominance in this country?
In a way, yes, definitely. Because it started. Excuse me. It also started getting televised a lot more,
Yes.
than before. I think previously it was all about hearing about it in radio, reading about it in newspapers, right? So it was all very imaginary way of following sport, using okay, this is what Sunil Gavaskar would have done, when the commentator describes it on air on radio. But here, it's like you can look and feel, and you can actually be a part of the team is playing, and you're actually watching it live, or
Yeah.
even the highlights package, right? So so that's something which changed. We
Yes.
got to view sport a lot more often. I
Correct.
think change because I still remember, initially they did not, broadcast test matches live, but 80s and 90s they started doing that as well, all 5 days of a test match, so that's a trend which came in. And that time I was too young, I was like 7 or 8 years old, but my
Yes.
dad used to tell me that, test matches were never telecasted live like this
Mhm.
before. So I think that changed. So there was a lot of commercialization of sport. So I think since revenue came in, commercialization, players started getting treated better, fans started getting more and more entertainment, sponsors came in, advertising
Yes.
revenue came in.
Hmm.
India got the 1987 World Cup,
World
the
Cup. Yes.
World Cup which we played, right? So that was a big achievement, right? After three potential World Cups in England, right? So then the subcontinent got a completely new face in the world of cricket.
Yes.
That's something which completely redefined the way commerce and cricket went together hand in hand. And of course, people started taking our team more seriously. It's not that they weren't before, but now, they had expectations.
Yes.
Every time India played, they had
Hmm.
that, wow, we are world champions, right?
Hmm.
So
Correct.
that tag of world champions created that around the fans as well, not just the team. So I think that was something which was phenomenal. And I think the success of that World Cup also kind of followed with some other success talk about in the show
Yes.
later.
So, after the 83 World Cup, do you think the stature of a player like Kapil Dev, or maybe a Dilip Vengsarkar, Krishnamachari Srikanth, Ravi Shastri, Roger Bini, did it grow immensely? The fan following increased, and I've also heard stories that that Kapil Dev's captaincy, Kapil Dev's leadership was actually talked about on the same level as Dhyan Chand previously.
Yes, definitely. And I think, somewhere, and this is my personal theory. I have a theory that, we Indians, especially in cricket, do really well, wherein, we don't have, any baggage or expectations, or, when
Correct.
we don't have a
Yes.
reputation to defend,
Correct.
somewhere, or when we have our backs to the wall. So that's
Correct.
something which I always
Hmm.
felt. Another classic example is, the Border Gavaskar Trophy, right? Nobody gave
Hmm.
us a chance, but
Yes.
then we came out on, triumphs, right? And
Hmm.
2007 World Cup, we sent a completely new team, young team under Dhoni, right? We did not know what to expect, but we did not have any baggage. We did not have too many expectations from the team, but they still carried it through, right? So I
Yes.
think that's something which kind of helped in a way. I'm not saying that was the reason, but in a way it kind of helped, having no pressure or no
Hmm.
baggage from the fans back home or even at the ground, right? So that kind of eased it out. And I think it also reflected in Kapil's captaincy as well somewhere. The great Kapil Dev, he led by example, and that 175, that's the most unfortunate incident in the history of world cricket, that innings wasn't televised or recorded. Or there are many theories around why it wasn't. People said that there was some bias by the BBC guys. They
Hmm.
did not consider this such big a game to kind of
Hmm.
televise or even record.
Hmm.
But then, I really wish we could see that footage of that, spectacular game, where he scored 175 after being 17 for 5.
Yes.
So that was amazing. But yeah, in terms of captaincy, yes, I think, he had a very hands-off approach. He did not kind of go around the field bossing over people or telling them
Correct.
what to do. I
Yes.
think he had a pretty
Hmm.
easygoing approach in terms of all the players knew their roles.
Yes. Hmm.
And from what I've heard and seen, and from what we've read as well, in the finals, all he said was, guys, 183 is all we have, but let's go on the pitch and have fun. We are here to have fun, enjoy the game, enjoy the spirit of the game, and let's see what happens, right? So I think that's a great approach to have, because the worst that you can do is that after scoring 183, you will think that, oh my God, we don't have a chance at all.
Correct.
But then to ease out the tension and to kind of just go there and express themselves, he
Hmm.
had the arsenal to do that, and I think
Correct.
that was
Yes.
something which was really cool because that team had so many all-rounders.
Yes.
So I think that was a big advantage. We had fit and agile players,
Hmm.
people who could field well as well.
Yes.
That was something which was missing in the Indian teams of the bygone eras,
Hmm.
except for maybe say the Eknath Solkars of the world who were terrific fielders,
Yes.
and maybe terrific catches as well. But then the ground fielding improved. We
Hmm.
had a lot of agile players, fit players, players who could do all three departments well. So I
Yes.
think that was a blessing,
Hmm.
and which reflected, in the years to come as well. Even the '85 series wherein the Benson and Hedges Cup and stuff, right? I think the primary difference was young, fit, agile fielders and all-rounders that India could have. And I think
Correct.
that was something which Kapil's era defined that, that's the way forward for Indian cricket.
So Kapil Dev and his team actually taught us one thing: whatever you score in the first innings, the other team has to come and score one more extra. So you can actually put them under the pump and say, "You're going to
What?
score. If we score 183, you have to score 184, and we are going to make life hard for you." So that was the greatness of that team. And
Absolutely.
and as you talked about agile players, and you talked about those fit players, I actually get
Hmm.
one thing in my mind, that is before
Hmm.
83 we didn't have a lot of accurate pace bowlers, and after 83 you saw there was a Mohinder Amarnath, Roger Binney, Chetan Sharma coming in. So do you think it actually also helped more fast bowlers coming into the scene?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we have so many fast bowlers, even till date today, is that
Yes.
Kapil Dev was that one inspiration.
Hmm.
In that era, who actually took up fast bowling and carried the baton of fast bowling for India for so many years altogether,
Hmm.
right? And I think, I mean, with no disrespect to all the guys who played before him, he was one of the most successful fast bowling all rounders, not just in India, across the world as well, right? So he
Yes,
had
correct.
set that bar so
Hmm.
high, and he contributed equally both with bat and ball, right? So I think that was something which was terrific. And one really critical reason why we even won that World Cup final was, if you remember the catch he took of Sir
Catch, yes.
Vivian Richards running backwards, right? I think
Hmm.
that was a testimony to his fitness, to his comfort in that pressure environment. The way he handled that, he made it look so easy, right? Even if you hear the commentators, probably it was Richie Beno, if I am not wrong. The way he described it, right? He even said the same thing, that he made it look so easy running backwards, which is the
Yes.
hardest thing to do
Hmm.
when you're trying to take a high
Correct.
catch, and to keep his
Hmm.
composure and to kind of not fall over and not lose the ball. That was something amazing. And in a World Cup final. So
Yes.
the backstory to that is that he wanted to remove Madan Lal from the attack.
Yes.
So because he went for a few runs,
Hmm.
but then but then again that he also comes into play, because Madan Lal was like so adamant that he did not want to let go of the ball. He just literally snatched it from Kapil and said that just give me one more over to this player, and he got the result, right? So I think that's something also which is something which we can call as a by looking at a body language of a player, of your own player, that you could actually give him one more opportunity to prove himself, right? So I think that was something critical, and he did as well, right? So trust me, when Sir Vivian Richards was batting, not many of us or not many viewers gave India a chance at all, right?
Yes. There's one more thing, after the World Cup, we had West Indies coming to our country. They defeated us 5-0. That's called black whitewash. It's an oxymoron, but it is still called
Yes,
black whitewash. There was
yes.
that that there was a final against Pakistan at Sharjah where we defended 126, and definitely that champions of champions Benson.
125.
Yes, 125. and then Benson Hedges in
Yes.
85, where there was a young team, a different captain, not Kapil, but Sunil Gavaskar. You have, a player like Lakshman Shivarama Krishnan.
Yes.
You had Azharuddin. You had Sadanand
Yes.
Vishwanath, who was keeper. So can you just put some light, or can you throw some light on this?
Correct. Yeah. So I think it was also interesting SHP after that World Cup win, right? So there was this musical chairs happening between Kapil and Gavaskar with the captaincy all the time,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
So that was something which was quite strange,
Hmm.
when it came to, the politics of leadership and captaincy and team selections and stuff. So I think that was something which was, there was a lot of things written about the two of them. And, sometimes they said they don't see eye to eye, they don't, like each other and stuff. So there was so many things written about it. But obviously, at the end of the day, I think those two were, proper professionals who gave it all on the cricket field. So I think, yeah, some of these series in between were kind of a paradox, because after coming at into the series after the high of the World Cup, probably West Indies was hurting. I think that's
Yeah.
a team with a lot of pride,
Hmm.
and I think they did not, the loss did not go down well with them at all, and they wanted some. Revenge is a very strong word, but some sort of a payback
Yes.
when it came to kind of proving themselves again.
Correct. Hmm.
So I think that is one of the reasons. Plus, so there was it was a strange time. It was kind of up and down for Indian cricket. We
Correct.
had the high of a World Cup, then we had another high of the Benson and Hedges Cup
Hmm.
series, which was a tremendous series. Trust me, that was a time when we had a transition from, say, white clothing and red ball
Yeah.
cricket
Yes.
colored clothing, right? So that was a time when we really saw
Hmm.
cricket becoming a proper global sport with a lot of spectacle around playing in the night
Hmm.
with white ball and
Correct.
young players coming through, and one day cricket kind of getting revolutionized. So I think that was something amazing. And like you said, in that era, what we also saw was a lot of young blood getting chances. So Sadanand Vishwanath was a terrific keeper. If you
Yeah,
see,
correct.
we are
Yes.
really lucky to have the footage available on
Yes.
fields,
Hmm.
right? So we could actually see and relate and also understand how good they were. The quickness of his hands,
Yes.
and the way he used to just take in a jiffy, right? I mean, trust me, it's like we have seen Dhoni in this era, but in
That.
that
Yes.
era, Vishwanath was regarded as one of the best and one of the quickest behind the stumps as well. So he was terrific, and he actually, and you also mentioned Lakshman Shivaramakrishnan. He was terrific with the ball as well as a leg spinner. And Vishwanath could actually read him better than any other,
Yes.
keeper or even the batsman who's facing him, right? So he was so quick because he could read the hand, he could read which one will turn, which one may not turn. So that was something which was terrific to see. And then we have the likes of Azhar, who was, the more you talk about him, the less
Yes.
you feel that, wow, he deserves so much of praise. The way he used his wrists and the way he used to time the ball, he was a gifted cricketer.
Yes.
Trust me, I mean, the era that we have seen in the 90s, we could not see India win too many games per se, but when we used to watch Sachin and Azhar bat, and that was
Correct.
something which was a spectacle to watch. Especially one partnership which I can definitely remember is the one in Cape Town against South
Yes.
Africa in
Yes.
'97. That
97.
was a masterclass in batting by both of them together. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I think, yeah, so that was a time when and the Benson and Hedges World Series, we won it because of the fact, like you pointed out, there were so many youngsters in the team, and they gave it all, and they were so agile, and India was such a brilliant fielding side as well. So I think that created a big difference.
As you talked about Kapil Dev and Sunil Gavaskar's captaincy mix, I still remember Kapil Dev once saying in a program that the way I was given captaincy, it shocked me, and the way the captaincy was took me, it shocked me more. So that was the
It's
thing.
taken away.
Yes. So now going
Yeah.
now moving out from the cricket part and going into commerce a little, financials a little, we see there was not
Hmm.
a lot of money given to the players of the Indian cricket team at that point of time. It was not
Yes.
there was not a lot of money. But do you think that 83 was that point where the money started, the cash started flowing in, because the 87 World Cup was Reliance World Cup, there were sponsors coming in, and then the 92 came. So many
Yep.
things came. The revolutions started coming.
Correct.
Indian economy started opening. There are a lot of things to it.
Yes.
Do you think 83 was the point
Yep.
where money actually came into Indian cricket?
Yes, it started off the the tap was opened at that point in time, and it started the flow of
Correct.
commerce for sure. Yeah, I mean, I probably made a mistake earlier on the show. It was the Reliance World Cup in 1987, and then the Wills World Cup in 1996. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're thanks for correcting me on that. Yeah.
All
So I think that's the time wherein definitely there was a lot of commercial opportunities which were discovered, and they started thinking that if cricket could kind of bring people together, both with the 83 win and with the 85 win as the champion of champions, and Ravi Shastri famously driving that Audi car
Audi,
and
yes.
getting it into the country. That was the first time,
Mhm.
exactly, right? So that was the first time when cricketers became superstars and superheroes, which we worship them today, like, right?
Yes.
That's the kind of aura that was created because of those two wins. So I
Yes.
think that got a lot of eyeballs, and that specific moment was captured in a lot of people's imagination, and the sponsors started thinking, man, this is the right time to kind of invest in cricket, in sport. And with the World Cup coming into India, that kind of got a lot of television rights, advertising rights, and all these things getting into the game, right? So that created that, and you know what, we also started having these series with Pakistan and Sharjah so often,
Yes.
right? So that was also a big boost from a commercial standpoint. We found a neutral territory to kind of play another country. So that
Correct.
was
Yes.
unheard of in cricket before, right? So that was something which was another commercial avenue which opened up. So 90s, if you ask me, being a 90s, 80s, and 90s kid, it was all about India and Pakistan and Sharjah.
Sharjah,
That's
yes.
how we used to see cricket, and especially ODI cricket. Yeah, so that was something which was a big thing. So I think yes, you're right. So before, say, the 83 win, like I said, earlier on the show, cricket was more like a side hobby.
Yes.
People working in banks or in other government jobs were kind of playing as something as a side hobby, and they had this job as a secure financial future for themselves. But then, after these wins and after this era, it kind of became a much more established form of sport and for a career option.
Correct.
So that was something which was which played a big part in a lot of careers. And I think a lot of these players started getting more professional. They started getting fitter. They started following a proper physical fitness routine. Earlier it was all about during the season they had to be fit, and off season was all about spending
You
time
can
with family and working in your day jobs and stuff.
you
But
can eat
then
you
it
can eat how
became a
much
year
ever you
long
want.
thing, right?
You can eat as much as you want. You can enjoy. It was that type of cricket. But
Yeah,
now it's something different. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Correct, correct. And again, it's all about professionalizing the sport, and making it a proper career option. That was something which was missing, and that was actually prevalent even in the 90s as well. Because being a 90s kid, I can tell you that even then, barring cricket, sport was still viewed as just another form of recreation. But it
Yes.
was never a proper serious career option. But now, if you ask me, kids of today have a lot of access, a lot of avenues.
Yes.
So they have the IPLs, they have the other leagues of the world, in other sports as well to kind of look up
Correct.
to, right? That is a huge change, and it all started and culminated in the year 1983,
Correct. Yes.
wherein that was our first ever really big sport as a team together. I mean, with no disrespect to the hockey team and other teams which played previously, but
Correct.
then I'm
Yes.
just saying that this was the commercialization and the proper professionalization of sport in India.
Correct. Now, now we have talked a lot about we talked about 85. We talked about the black white wash. We talked about cricketers' stature and everything. We talked about Kapil's captaincy as well. Now we see as we talked about Lakshman Shivaramakrishna. We talked a little about Sadanand Vishwanath as well. There was one player who came up to the ranks, and that was
Mhm.
Maninder Singh. Maninder Singh went on to be world number one spinner. He was one of the greatest players. Some light upon him as we get going with the show.
Mm. Yeah, so I think that's an interesting one. I think probably the era of the spin quartet, wherein Bishan Singh Bedi, the great Bishan Singh Bedi, was one of the best and the finest left-arm spinners to have played the game. I think that's where probably the inspiration came in for guys like Maninder Singh. And left-arm spin was an art. It was really
Yes,
something which was terrific. It's the way I think the way Ian Chappell described some of our great spinners from that era was something which was really really pleasing to hear his views. When he even spoke about Prasanna as well, right?
right.
He said that when he bowls, it was like somebody has he has a kind of a rope in his hand, and when he tosses it up, and just at the time when it kind of reaches the batsman, he kind of pulls it back. When the
Correct.
batsman feels like he's reached the back, but he hasn't. So that's the kind of way he described, and I think that's the category in which even some of the other spinners, like you mentioned, Maninder Singh, they came through, right? Probably he was definitely a talent to watch out for at that stage. He definitely was among the rag in terms of the future players to watch out for. It's unfortunate that he could not make it that big in his career, maybe due to many other reasons, which obviously may not be relevant to talk on this show. But
Correct.
then
Yes.
yeah, he was a promising cricketer, definitely something someone to kind of look up to in terms of being the next big spinner in India. And the unfortunate part was he was also the last batsman to be dismissed in the tied
Yes.
test in Chennai, in
Yes.
Madras in 1986. So would have left a scar in his mind for sure, definitely.
So we have discussed a lot about cricket today, and it has been absolute pleasure about learning something from a person who has actually witnessed this and who is himself a cricket romantic. It's been absolute pleasure talking about Kapil Dev, talking about Sadanand Vishwanath, talking about the series, talking about how cricket actually improved after 83. Any final remarks from your side, Venu?
So I think yeah, two things. One what I'll say is that obviously I'm just loving the content that you're producing from your shows. I think
Thank you very much.
it's really imperative that the kids of today and the youngsters who follow the game should know about the cricket in the general gone by. Honestly, if you ask me, yes, I am a cricket romantic, but even my historical knowledge of cricket may not be as extensive as say yours when it comes to reading as well as relating back to the players. For sure, yes, I know a lot of the players which are very popular. Some of the ones which may not have been referred to, in history books or may not have been talked about that much. That's something which I definitely learned from programs such as this. In terms of, another closing remark is that yes, definitely the 1983 win was, very significant. And I think what I'll advise all the young of today is to watch the highlight footage of that game because
Correct.
it's, we are really lucky to have that available. And, to kind of see the amount of passion, the amount of, hard work that those guys did. To come back in a game after scoring 183, which was remarkable. I think that was something which was unheard of, and plus coming against the West Indies, it taught a lot of life lessons as well. That self belief is the biggest thing in life. It doesn't matter whom you're playing against or who's in the opposition. What kind of stature they carry. Ultimately you're playing a game, and you could only do as best as you can. You cannot control the opposition or the uncontrollables, and that was the biggest lesson in life for sure. And yeah, I think that's a big motivation to carry forward when it comes to that moment and that final, so which was, like I said, a pivotal moment in Indian cricket. So yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
It was a pleasure having Venu on the show. I hope you guys liked the show. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll be back again with one such episode of Cricket History. Thank you very much for joining in.